Can't believe that we've got less than a day here before polls open in Illinois. Welcome in. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. And it's pretty incredible, too, how many of you have actually early voted so far. Looking at the latest data from the Illinois State Board of Elections, it's showing that more than 2 million people of Illinois' 8 million voters that are registered have cast their ballot already. Again, pretty remarkable numbers when you really get down to it, and we'll take a look at that. And I also want some of you out there to tell me where you're voting in your county. Have you early voted? And we'll see if those numbers seem to match up with what we're looking at from the Illinois State Board of Elections. But clearly there's a lot on the ballot, all the way from your local, maybe a state's attorney's race, maybe a local county position race. Your local county also might have different referenda. Maybe they're asking you to increase the sales tax, which is something that's being done, I believe, in Champaign, and challenges of Champaign County actually using taxpayer funds, allegedly, to promote that particular ordinance or that particular referendum. You've also got referendum in 7 different counties where, in, I believe, Madison County in particular, it's going to be interesting what the outcome is about asking if we should create a new state out of Illinois, new Illinois, or separate, or some kind of question along those lines. But then you've got the top of the Illinois referendum, where obviously a lot of questions get floated every year, every election. Some people may want to, have a question about term limits, or a question about different types of ethics reforms or fare maps, for instance. But those aren't the questions that are ahead of voters here in Illinois. Instead, in Illinois, the voters that are going to be heading to the ballot are going to be asked these particular questions. Let's go over to the Illinois State Board of Elections here. Election state advisory questions for the 2024 general election. If you click on that, should bring up some kind of document here where, if indeed you're able to access this stuff, you can pull this up and take a look for yourself. So again, at the State Board of Elections, you got different questions, right? So one question is, should any candidate appearing on the Illinois ballot for federal, state, or elected office, local office, be subject to civil penalties if the candidate interferes or attempts to interfere in an election worker's official duties? Yes or no? And again, these are just purely advisory. They are not binding by any law. So really, this is just a public poll of sorts. All right. So it's the Election Worker Protection and Accountability Referendum Act. All right. So should any candidate appearing on the Illinois ballot, federal, state, local office, be subject to civil penalties if the candidate interferes or attempts to interfere with an election worker's official duties? The next question, which is pretty controversial, there's been a lot of, as we say in the media landscape, ink spilled over this one. Should the Illinois Constitution be amended to create an additional 3% tax on income greater than $1 million for the purpose of dedicating funds raised to property tax relief? Yes or no? So again, a statewide question. It's a non-binding advisory question. This is not going to change the Constitution, all right? This is an interesting one in as far as, they're looking for, quote, property tax relief. If we look back at what former Governor Pat Quinn had to say about this, he said that the property tax relief elements, there's already a fund set up that could give property tax rebates. He estimates it would raise $4 billion. But you also got to think about who exactly is a millionaire. A millionaire could be that small mom and pop shop just down the street that's a mechanic, or a flower store, or a small boutique, or something along those lines. The small businesses that are sole proprietors, they are people who have income of over $1 million. But that money's going into payroll, that money's going into investments, into building the business, and so on. Regardless, that could lump those small businesses in. There's a lot of questions about, the idea of increasing taxes on millionaires, and millionaires might be able to better avoid that. Those are some of the arguments against the proposal here. But again, it's a non-binding proposal. And then the third one asks, shall all medically appropriate assisted reproductive treatments, including but not limited to in vitro fertilization, be covered by any health insurance plan in Illinois that provides coverage for pregnancy benefits without limitation on the number of treatments. So that's the third ballot question that you will be asked. And again, non-binding resolutions here for the state of Illinois. Let's pull up the numbers here of total statewide early votes. These are numbers that I just pulled from the Illinois State Board of Elections, and you can see this yourself, but I do want to see if any of you out there go ahead and shout out your county. And also tell me, if you're watching live here, all right, tell me if you've early voted. So one of the fun things, I guess, about doing this live is there's a bit of interaction that we can have at the live chat on the YouTube channel. So follow along each and every weekday morning. You can join us. But I'd like to hear from you as to, have you voted early? And what county are you in? And we'll take a look here. All right, so these are the top line numbers here from the Illinois State Board of Elections, statewide counts. All right, of course, election day is tomorrow, but so far, of the 1.2 million people who requested a mail-in ballot in Illinois, 1.2 million people of the state's 8 million voters requested a mail-in ballot. 758,580 have returned their mail-in ballot. So they've actually put their mail-in ballot in the mail and it got back to the election authority, or they physically took their ballots to their election authority and turned it in. Of all of this, 1.3 million people have early voted in person. Then you get grace period voting, which is its own category, but 2.1 million people, 2,131,107. All right, so 2.1 million people of Illinois' 8 million voters have already cast their ballot. That's a number. I don't know if it's broken records. We'll have to find out later on today when they update the numbers again from over the weekend as to how that's changed. But let's go ahead and take a look here for Cook County. How many people have voted already? You've got 414,000 people in Cook County that have already voted. Kankakee County. I'm going to the live chat over here and taking a look as to who has, what county you're in. Have you early voted? Let's do Kankakee County. Pull that up. If I can get my alphabet correct, there we go. Kankakee County, only 14,640 people have voted. Who else? Sangamon County, early vote. Sangamon County, the state capital is in Sangamon County. 31,761 early votes, which eclipsed how many early vote requests there were of 26,107. So 31,761 people have voted early in Sangamon County. All right, where else you guys at? Lake County. Let's take a look at Lake County again on the live chat. If you want to, take a look at this, you can, share with me what county you're in. We'll pull this up. Lake County. Wow, 145,313 people have voted early. Somebody in the chat room says they voted 2 weeks ago. Let's take a look at DuPage County. DuPage County, 216,000 people have voted early. Monroe County, another county shout out there in the live chat. Monroe County, you've got 7,831 voting early. Of course, this all depends on the population in your county, but clearly a lot of interest in this election. 2.1 million people have voted early in Illinois. That's pretty remarkable. So we'll have to obviously see what those numbers look like coming up here for about 10:30. They'll update that from the weekend. But tomorrow's election day. You've got, again, seats in Congress that are up for grabs. You've got state house seats, a handful of Senate seats for the Illinois Senate. Chicago and Cook County is going to be interesting because you've got the Cook County State's Attorney's race where Kim Foxx is no longer seeking that seat, so it opened it up. You've got a Democrat and you've got a Republican Interesting stuff there, especially as I've seen and read some statements from the Republican state's attorney candidate concerned about votes and mail-in votes in particular, getting improper ballots put into different envelopes that were from the primary instead of being for the general election. So some questionable things there. But also you've got the state's largest school district for the first time ever in Chicago is going to be voting for their own school board. And you've got a handful of seats that are up around this time, but a handful of seats that are going to be up in future elections. But the first time there, and this is going to be something along the lines of what Mayor Brandon Johnson allies would want, to have teachers union heavy presence on the Chicago School Board, or how exactly that's going to go with maybe some more moderate individuals on the school board. But on the national side, obviously, you've got President Donald Trump trying to get reelected. Vice President Kamala Harris sharing this message on the campaign trail in Michigan.
You who now know fewer rights than your mothers and grandmothers are standing up for freedom. None of these issues for you are theoretical. This is not political for you all. This is your lived experience, and I see you, and I see your power, and I am so proud of you. Can we hear it for our first-time voters?
And then you get former President Trump holding rally after rally where he wraps things up saying, Kamala, get out, you're fired, asking if you're better off now than you were 4 years ago, really going after the Kamala Harris and Biden administration migration policies. But he also took time to interact with some of the audience at a rally recently here. And I believe this was in, where was this? Was it Wisconsin? So yeah, it was in Milwaukee over the weekend. Here is former President Trump interacting with the audience a bit, asking somebody where they're from.
Where do you live? What part of Westchester do you live? Oh, well, that's nice.
She said Illinois.
Illinois. Illinois. You may have the worst governor in the entire country. Thank you very much. Yes, we do. He's terrible. They threw him out of the family business, so he decides to run for governor. I know the Pritzker family very well. I was partners with them, actually. They have some good people, but they threw him out because he was not very good, and he ends up running for governor because he's got money, but he's terrible. But I'm not allowed to use the fat word. That's the other word you cannot use. You are not allowed to use the fat word, so I will not do it, but that guy is disgusting.
Oh boy, politics in the age of 2024. Don't forget, you can go vote tomorrow. Polls open, I believe 6 o'clock in the morning. Check your local jurisdiction. We'll obviously talk more about it in the morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Happy Monday. Getting back to it.